Y'all, can y'all tell I'm excited? I'm hyped. Friday, 30 shows in. My people checking in. One of my besties is here, AJ. I get to talk to him. It's just gonna be easy. It's great. So let's bring AJ into the room. AJ, you ready to come into the room? AJ has been AJ since I've known AJ, and what I mean by that is AJ Crimson brand as a beauty expert. He has beauty products, but just kind of like his presence in the industry has been around since I've been around, and I've been around a long time. So AJ's always been like a thought leader and kind of a leader in the beauty space, he's been featured everywhere. He's worked with a lot of people. His beauty products are now out there. And, we posted today, on Black Panther. It's been on all kinds of other shows. Like, he's kind of epic and iconic. But I'm just going to bring him into the room so we can have this conversation. There's just so much I could say about him that I'm just going to allow him to say it. And watch, he's going to come on. He's going to be glowing. He's going to be radiant, vibrant. There he is.
There he is.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
Bonjour. I'm good. Hello. Bonjour.
Hello, baby. How are you? You are doing amazing, I see.
Oh, my God. I'm doing so amazing. It's our 30th show, AJ.
I love it. Happy 30th show. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you.
So I was so nervous.
Why?
I don't know. Like, literally, I've been like watching. I watched this intro. I've been watching what's happening. I saw Derek Monroe on. I was like, oh my God, like, why am I nervous? And I was just on Claudia Jordan's show last night. I was like, I didn't feel nervous on that. Why do I feel nervous to go on, what is it, office hours?
Why do you feel nervous? Like, we talk. Like, it's me and you.
Know.
It's not even like somebody you don't know.
Now it's like everybody else. It's me and you and everybody else.
Everybody else, exactly.
Yeah. So I'm like,
so watch your words. It's not just me and you. There are people here. So, oh my God. So, how are you?
Yes, I'm fantastic. I am fantastic. I cannot complain.
Okay, so how have you been doing in Corona, in lockdown? How's that been for you?
It's actually been pretty cool because I needed the time. Like, I needed this time to just kind of think. I needed the time to write ideas down, to implement ideas, to figure out like what my plan is. I walked into this year feeling like, damn, like I wish the world would just stop for a little bit so that I could catch up. And here we go. Like, I'm catching up. So I almost feel like if I don't use this time wisely, then I totally missed an opportunity because I don't know when we'll get this time back. Like, my calendar was cleared till August right now. So,
what? Yeah. Well, we don't know what's going to happen next.
Like, and it might be till the end of the year, to be honest. But, for my sanity, I was like, oh yeah, like I guess I see this. I start crossing stuff off till August. Like, I just saw things
you need to do. Like, exactly.
It was like,
we all have a to-do list. Like, so let's get to it.
And just even jobs. It was just like jobs and arrangements and situations that I was on the calendar to be booked for were done. So, like, all right.
Okay, well, you're taking it in stride and like, all right, okay.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, that's 4 or 5 months to do what? Like, now what do we do with this time? Like, if I have 4 or 5 months to get it to work with, then what can I get done and how do I do it? And what tools do I have available for me, to get those things done? Like, I've been wanting to do everything online. I've been gearing towards, I shut my store down like a year ago because I was like, oh, like, I don't want to do that anymore. It was a great experience, but now let's just push it all online. Like, I want to be on a beach somewhere and then still see the sales rolling through my portal without me actually touching it or touching you.
Yes, that's a major key. So we're going to get to that because, again, I think that's part of the reason why you're like, okay, cool. Because you have a whole nother business. It's not like you have to show up and put, and beat someone's face in order to get your check. You have AJ Crimson Beauty that you've had and you've built, and you have products so you can wake up in the morning and have orders and like, okay, thanks.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But again, you put in the work to do that. But take me back. Okay, so like I said in your intro, since I've met you, you've been, and when I say that you've been AJ Crimson, I mean like it's been like a solid brand of like, hi, I'm AJ Crimson.
Right.
This is AJ Crimson Beauty. Like, it's not that.
I know,
stoic,
I get it.
but
Yeah.
yes, you've always been AJ Crimson in that regard. So
Yeah, I agree. And sometimes, so I'm working on a book right now, and literally, I was like, where do I start? Because there obviously was a point where I was $500 in a bus ticket from Detroit to LA and making my way. And then when most people really discovered me and got to know me, they got to know me in my New York days, so which was maybe 3 years into that, and
gotcha.
it very much was, oh, hey, I'm AJ Crimson. But at the same time, even when I was assisting, I was AJ Crimson. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of weird. So yeah, I've been me for a very long time.
Yes,
I've been being me for a very long time.
Exactly,
So,
you have. Okay.
there's a pre AJ Crimson, but we don't need to get into that one. Not in this story.
Okay, not that pre AJ Crimson. Okay, so tell me, what was your first gig, like your first professional gig as a makeup artist?
My first professional job was I did a woman's wedding for $75 as a makeup artist, and that was in Michigan, and that was me I was so excited to get that $75. I was like, wow, I made $75. I can really do this, and that was a moment.
It's always when you realize that you can get paid for what you love. Once that moment, no matter how much it is, oh wait, you'll pay me for this? Oh, okay.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
look, Dawn is in the room. Dawn knows me pre AJ Crimson. That is so true. She said he was just as great. Thank you. I appreciate that, Dawn.
I'm sure he was.
And then my first job in LA, or my first series of jobs, I was working with this photographer, Yadrin, and he did a lot of older, white male celebrities like Tom Selleck. He shot a lot of those folks. So it was Tom Selleck, Larry Hagman. These are my first clients.
Oh.
So they literally were my first clients, Tom Selleck, Larry Hagman, and Peter Falk.
Oh, no wonder you've always been AJ Crimson. You started with Tom Selleck.
But I was also on a bus. You know what I mean? Getting to work. So, because there was no Uber in LA, and I just had to figure it out. And then Fergie became my first girl. Fergie was my first female client, and that was very much still new because she was just getting into the Black Eyed Peas.
Okay.
When we started. So I did the first video with them, Where's the Love? When she officially became a part of the group. Yeah.
Yes, iconic. Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. And so since then you've done so much. So tell me, I'm trying to, how was your experience as a celebrity makeup artist? And then, because now I look at you more as this beauty expert who has this beauty brand. And obviously, guys, I'm doing a fast forwarded version because, there were years that you were doing makeup exclusively, et cetera. And you work with lots of people. Credits.
Got it.
But I think now kind of what resonates more with me is who you are as a businessman. I mean, and not that you weren't a businessman as a makeup artist, but again, transitioning into products and building a brand for yourself in that way.
I feel I moved when I was in New York. I was definitely a makeup artist, and I was traveling back and forth every other day, and sometimes in the same day, doing a client, then getting on a plane, going to LA, do a client, get back on the plane that night, come back to New York for somebody else. And that was literally my life for many years. And when I decided to leave Los Angeles in 2010 to go back, leave New York to go back to LA in 2010, I left a makeup artist, but my return to the business was a brand. I returned in 2013 as a beauty brand at that point. You know what I mean? And that was the big change for me, because in 2010, we were just coming off of that big recession. Rates in the business had been dropping. And I had developed a lifestyle by that point. You know what I mean? So it was well, I don't really know if I can do this for $500. Like, not when I was just making $3,500 to do that. So I don't really know how that adds up. And you know, and then and then you see your client still buying 2 pairs of boots for $7,500, and no, I shouldn't be in her pocket. But at the same time, I'm like, well, sis, like, you don't have my rate. Like, what's going on?
AJ's serious about that rate.
Very much. It's like, let's be friends. You know what I mean? Like, let's be friends, because I need to figure something else out. But what I did, what was really genius, I think, in that moment was I had forecasted that. Like, I was able to see that, you know what, this is going to change, and I need to be on to something else. I need to figure out a new passion, and that new passion had come by way of me representing other hair, makeup, and wardrobe artists. Under a company called Blackboard Group, and a lot of people didn't. You remember Blackboard? I mean, I still have Blackboard, yeah. And a lot of people didn't know it was me on the other end of it. You knew, but you know, but it was also because a lot of people also didn't know that I kind of pulled back from makeup because I was still doing my girls.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like if,
you were
like
very selective.
Yeah, like Latoya wouldn't let me, you know, leave. Lauren wouldn't let me leave. Estelle wouldn't let me leave. They were like, no, you're not retired for us. Like, you can be retired for everybody else, but not for us. For about 6 years, nobody really knew, you know? So,
Gotcha.
And I was very selective. But that was also a great place to be in, you know?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you have to build yourself to a certain point to be able to be selective. You know what I'm saying? But tell me, why did you decide to transition to, was there something that you noticed that was missing in the market, or was it like, I need to be making money while I mean, it could have been both, but tell me what's the catalyst for AJ Crimson Beauty?
So I'd already had a brand called Kissable Couture, which I had launched in 2017 with Forrest Whitaker's wife, Keisha. And you know, obviously we were like great friends for many years. And like we put that line out in 2007. And then we closed it around 2010. And then in 2013, it was like, okay, well, I'm not actively doing makeup every day, you know, like I was. I don't even know that I really want to do that every day like I did. And because I didn't want the money that I didn't want the money that I was being presented to overshadow the art that I loved. And that was part of the reason why I left it, because I was concentrated more on the money. Like if I was making $2,000, you know, to do a face, and I was only booked for 4 hours, and then somebody else came and was like, hey, like, you know, we have this music video we want you to do, and we only have $1,500. I was like, well, you know, actually I got paid $2,000. I get paid $2,000 just for 4 hours. Why would I come sit on a set for 18 hours?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? For $1,500, like that just doesn't add up. Like I need more money, and so the money had started to become the motivation for everything that I was doing. Like I didn't, as opposed to the creativity, but I felt like my creativity and my freedom to be was what built me to the point where I could command such high rates. Right. So, and it was becoming not fun for me anymore. So I needed to depart. So sitting with myself in LA, I was like, well, what am I going to do with this thing that I built? Like, you know, so many people know me as AJ Crimson, you know, and I haven't really exposed the fact that I'm running Blackboard Group. So what do I do with that? And I was like, well, maybe I can give that to people in product, you know, where you can get me, but you can't get me.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And so that was the start. That was really the start. And then the angle that I took was I have to do foundation. I have to do skin, because that's the one thing that I've always been known for. And how do I do it in a way where, like, who's been left out? And Black women have been left out systematically as the first conversation. So as opposed to being like, she's always sandwiched in between, you know, the white girl, the Asian girl, and somebody else. And I was like, well, why don't I make her? She should be big on a billboard as well. Like, and be the only face, and maybe even have the white girl on the side of her, you know what I mean? Or the Asian girl on the side of her. Let her be front and center. So I started with the darkest color. I was like, what's the darkest color that I can make? And that was the skin of a girl who's South Sudanese. And I figure if I can get that color right, then we can work our way backwards to making everybody else's shade. She gets to be first.
Wow. Start with the darkest color and work your way backwards. And this was when? What year is this?
So I had already started developing AJ Crimson Beauty in 2009, but I sat on it because I didn't know whether I was going to integrate what I was doing into Kissable Couture and then and make it that, because with that line, it was never really intended for us to expand beyond lips. But then when we closed it, I was like, okay, I think this is it. I have these formulations. I just need to move forward with it. I just need to do it. Like, why not? And and with Kissable, I came up with the name Kissable Couture because I wasn't ready to use my own name at that point. And everybody had already said, like, oh, you shouldn't use your name. You shouldn't use your name. Look at what happened to Martha Stewart. And I was just like, and so I kind of listened to that. But to be honest with you, I think I probably should have. I'm glad I didn't use my name because I was in a partnership.
A partnership,
yeah. So I'm glad I didn't do it. But at the same time, I really probably should have just believed in my name in that point because my name was valuable then. You know what I mean? Like it was, you know what I mean? So but it came when it was supposed to come.
It came when it was supposed to come.
Yeah.
Yes. So wait, do you have because you've now, you manufacture all these products, you've built, you've had a brick and mortar before, you have affiliate programs, you've done tours, workshops. What's your training and background? Is there like a business training? Like, what's your education?
So what's your education?
What's your education?
Broadcast journalism and corporate public relations were my college majors. And I started out in radio. I moved into artist development, working under Biv 10 Records, Michael Bivins' New Edition label, when he was in Detroit. And then from there, I went into costumes. I went into fashion styling, and that trickled into makeup. I did some management also, like artist management while in Detroit as well. So I've kind of always had this business side that was business side playing with my creative side. So yeah, I think it's good. I'm a fast learner with things, and I think I always usually have like a very clear vision of like where I see myself and what I see the possibilities are. So even with Blackboard Group, when my first client that I represented was a friend of mine, a stylist, and
Enrique,
and like his first job was Oh My God video, OMG with Usher, and he had hit me up and was like, hey, like, can you help me with this? And I was like, hey, well, what's your rate? And like now it's like, oh, like $500, like $750, something like that. And I was like, no. I said, that's not it. I was like, can I do it for you? And he's like, yeah. So I negotiated the deal, and from that moment on, he became a $3,500 a day stylist.
Yes, come on.
And that was because
the rate went up.
Yeah, it all the way up, and it was because I understood his value, and I understood like his creativity, and I knew I wanted, where I had great representation for myself, I wanted him to also have that. You know what I mean? And
you knew you could be that.
And I knew I could be that. And I knew that I wanted to fight for my friend. I didn't want my friend to be taken advantage of. Like, there's no way that you're getting ready to do this major video and not be paid accordingly because you don't know. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to doing for others what they can't do for themselves is the quote that I love.
I love that. I love that.
Okay. That's John C. Maxwell.
That takes me to, thank you. That takes me to rates. I mean, because you're about that life. Like, I've worked with AJ several times, and we're friends. Like, he's my friend. But AJ be like, yeah, so about that coin. No, CJ, I can't do it for that. Like, what are we doing? You are very clear about your rate, like, and always have been as long as I've known you. How do you, like, what do you suggest for others who are trying to figure out their rate? And you just said something else of know your worth. Like, so how do you even, especially coming up, how do you weigh that? How do you know?
In the beginning, I didn't really know. You know what I mean? Like, my first assisting job, when I got to LA, I didn't know if I wanted to be an assistant. I was like, oh, I don't want to be looked at as an assistant. I just want to be known as a key. Like, I don't know what it was. But I didn't really understand what it meant. But, like, my first assisting job, I made $750. Like, and I was like, oh, like, yeah, I'll show up for this, of course. Like, I'll do it. What you want me to do? So that kind of helped. And then, for myself, I was like, okay, cool. Like, I was getting jobs to come on these videos for like $500, but I knew how to grow it to $750. And I was like, once I was making that $750, like, repetitively, I was like, okay, cool. My new rate is going to be $1,000. So when I quote, I'll just quote $1,000, knowing that, I might get the $750. because they were before they were offering me $5, but I was getting into $750. So I just kept building it and building. And then when I got my first agent, which was Crystal Thorpe from Epiphany Artist Group, she was
Crystal.
Yeah, like she was amazing. Like she really, she's a hustler, and like she valued me in such a huge way and understood what I could be, and she really solidified those numbers. You know, she made those numbers make sense. Like I remember my first hairstyling job. Well, not my first hairstyling job, but like I got booked
Where
on
you
a job.
styled hair?
I did, yeah. So I did hair. I went on. So when I started, I was doing hair and makeup. I could do hair. I can do it. I just didn't promote it. But I got booked with Christina, actually. Christina Miller. So I worked on this job. I was assisting Matthew Anderson on America. I've been trying to get on his team for a while. I finally got it. They finally called me in on a couple things, and then one of them stuck. So I ended up doing America's Next Top Model with him in New York. They called me in for that and said, "Hey, we need you to come to New York. Matthew wants you to come, like, to work with him on the show." I was like, "All right, dope." So I did all of Eva's pictures for that season, including.
Oh yes, that's you.
Yeah,
yeah, iconic. Yeah.
So with that, I remember Matthew telling me like his rate around that time was about maybe 2,500, but it had come down from like 4,000. He was like, because at some point, like you just want to work. He said, if you want to work, you just got to take these rates. But my rate at that time was 2,000. So I was like, wow, like I'm only $500 away from the person that I'm looking up to, you know what I mean? Which I was like, wow, that's actually really dope, so interesting. But I was also really humble in the space, like to still be the assistant, because there was still so much I did not know, and so with Christina was his client, and they did Dip It Low together, and I assisted him on Dip It Low, and I did the dancers. And I remember Christina's mom has sent the dancers back, and I was like, damn, like I fucked up, like I don't know what happened. And he was like, no, right? And he said no, it's fine, I'll fix it. And it was like, no, you didn't do anything wrong. I'll just fix it. I'll fix it. And it was basically like they stood too close. You know what I mean? Like it was. From what I was told, it was like they just stand out a little more than Christina was, or the look in that particular scene. So they needed to pull them back a bit.
Pull it back.
Yeah, pull it back a little bit. So I was like, okay. So I was like, all right, I'm not mad at that. And then, so fast forward, maybe a few months later, and after we were done with Top Model, I got a call because the director had referred me to her then manager, and I was like, hey, this kid would be good for hair and makeup. And I was like, oh, I worked with Christine. I worked on Christina's Dip It Low video. And they were like, oh, really? Like, can you send us your book? I was like, yeah. And so I was preparing to send my book over to Carmen. And he called back. He said, what did you do on the video? I said, I did the dancers. And he said, all right, I'll call you right back. And he called back. He said, we don't need to see your book. If you like the job, they'd like to book you to go to Japan for 14 days on her Japan tour. And this is the way. And I was like, what? So it was just, so they said, but it's hair and makeup and that kind of thing. I was like, dope, I'm down.
Oh, and
so I did hair and makeup on that. And I was like, I knew how to flat iron really well. And I knew how to do this one Tyra Banks curl because Kaya Wright is my good friend. And I watched her on jobs do that one thing. And I made my own extensions for her and all this other stuff. And I had the best time. So that was the first time that I saw my money turn over. Like I was making enough money to afford my rent, to afford my phone bill. I was able to buy like a sidekick. I had extra money to buy a sidekick. I was like, we were on tour somewhere in the middle of nowhere, USA, and in the mall, because we were always at the mall. And I was just like, and this was on the Usher tour, and I had enough money to buy a phone, and I thought like that's dope. So yeah. But then even but back to Crystal, like having great representation. I was doing Raven Simone in New York, and I was filling in for somebody else, and that was scheduled to do her hair, but it was a conflict. So I came, and she was like, make sure you have your hair stuff. Like, you're going to go do her hair. And I was like, not her makeup? And then she's like, no, you're just going to do her hair. I was like, all right, dope. She told Disney I was the best hairstylist she ever had. And I was like, wow, that's so amazing. And then she said,
come on, hair.
Yeah, she was like, do you know what? She said, do you? And I went on this job. I didn't know what the rate was, you know, because I just trusted my agent. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, oh, do you want to know what your rate is today? And I was like, yeah. Like, what is it? And then she said $4,000. I was like, what? I was like,
for hair only.
For hair only.
And you don't even do hair. I'm playing. You do hair, but
I did hair. I was doing hair then. And that was amazing. And I actually should have kept doing hair.
Yeah.
After that moment, to be honest.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I should have kept doing hair. Like,
oh
for
my
sure.
God. I love that. I didn't know all of these. I mean, because so AJ Crimson Beauty encompasses more than just makeup. Like,
absolutely.
You're really beauty.
I mean, I feel like I know a little bit about everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I know a little bit about everything, and you know, and I have concepts. I have concepts about how things should be done. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's half the battle. Like, if you with a little bit of vision, and then a little bit of wanting to know how, and jumping in to figure out how to get it done, then you can get it done. You know what I mean? And a lot of times with your clients, the great thing about the clients that I've always had, it's not that they want something like crazy and avant-garde and off the wall. You know, they just want it to be beautiful and pretty and like great, right? So, and if you can, it's the simplicity in it all. You know, just bring simple beauty, and that's really what worked.
So even with that, like, because you are a visionary, like I said, I've been on set with you before, but even just seeing all of the products and your evolution, like, you are a visionary. And even on set, just, you know, from, you know, being on set and beating a face, whatever. But tell me, what is, like, if you had to look at it, what are key elements of your creative process?
Well, I came from a world where, like, doing artist development when they were still doing that, where it was about reference. And then, you know, I did have a brief time where I was able to work with Pat McGrath in Europe. And
iconic.
Yeah, like, amazing. And it was just, and watching, like, reference. And even Sharon Galt. I don't know if you guys know Sharon Galt. Like, Sharon Galt she's known as Mama Makeup. Like, she did a lot of the David LaChapelle photo shoots, like with Christina Aguilera and that stuff. So I was assisting her for a long time in LA, and it was all about reference, and it was all about mood boards, and it was all about, you know, understanding why we're creating this look. Like, how are we gonna take this thing from 1950s, pair it with this thing from 1960s, and then make it, you know, 2000 whatever, you know, and making it today. So that is a part of my creative process. It's like, okay, well, what are we going for? Like, when I worked with LaToya on one of her album cover projects, I created this tall, like, mood board for her. And it was like, hey, like, this is what the hair I think should be. You know, this is where I think the makeup should go. Like, these are some of the shots for the photography and some of the fashion. And I think this is the world that this new LaToya lives in. And then that became part of the album packaging for her last album, you know, and these are the photographers that I think would really translate that. And so I think that, you know, nothing is new, only what's forgotten. I learned that from Mark Bridges, and Mark Bridges is the costume designer that offered me the opportunity to move to LA. And he always would say, like, nothing is new, only what's forgotten. And he also is about, he does a lot of period pieces, and he's an Oscar-winning costume designer. And that is often, you know, he's sketching, he has to go back and research and think about what was happening in the era of that time or that day that movie is set in, and recreate those moments. So if you don't do research, how can you know what's next if you didn't know what was past? And how do you remix what's new? How do you keep your finger on the cutting edge of what's next if you don't know what it was or where it derived from? Like, when you look at Pat's work, you know, like the earlier stuff from like early 2000s when she was doing Dior, and you were seeing like these huge like eyebrows, and you were seeing like these prosthetics, these things that we were pasting on girls for these Galliano shows. That was way bandy. You know, it was like Way Bandy from the 60s, right? And
Yes.
but how many people know Way Bandy? How many people are interested to go back and find out who Way Bandy was? You know, I
Research.
had a question last night where somebody said, "Hey, like if you if you want to do some research and you want to know like how would I find out?" And I was like, books, like
Books,
books
the
still
internet.
exist. Yeah, like
Yeah.
the one thing that really inspired me about Pat when I came back to New York, after, you know, having worked on those shows, was one of the things that she carried at the time, and I don't know if this is still today, but there were 7 duffel bags that her main assistants rocked with, and there'd be like body highlighters in one. There was this
Oh
kind of
my God.
eyeshadow in another. There's just a bag of
Oh my
reference,
God.
a bag of just books for reference. And these bags ship everywhere, you know, from what I was told. And, you know, and that's because
Wait,
you
one
need
of
to,
her bags was reference books?
it's just reference books. It's just books of
Yes.
reference.
Iconic.
Yeah.
I
You
love
know,
that.
and then when you're working on these sets with like David LaChapelle, like my friend Sean Mount and I, we came up at the same time, like hair and makeup, assisting these major artists. He was assisting this guy, Laurent, from Paris. And then I was assisting Sharon. And we would be on these sets with like David LaChapelle. And it's like, all it was reference. It was like, that's how these shoots are coming to life. You know, you have to have some vision, and, you know, and some of it you find a way to originality, but, you know, some of it is very much like we're not copying, we're just referencing. We're saying, hey, this is the world, this is the universe that this lives in. When I developed Kissable Couture, I had a wall similar to this behind me where I just put up images from magazines to build who that girl was. I built this world around her. So it was like, where does she live? She lived on Fifth Avenue. What did her hair look like? Who were her friends? Where did she shop? What did her dog look like? You know, like what was what kind
Yes.
of, and then that was, oh, this is, her lips are this, her fashion is this. Oh, it's Kissable Couture. It's fashion for your lips. She shops at Tiffany and Co. Like she shops at, you know, at Bendel's, and Bendel's became the first retailer for Kissable Couture.
Yes.
So, you know, you have to have
Vision.
vision.
You have to have vision, but even what you said, like mood boarding, research, like that
Yeah.
is a major key. And I don't think, especially maybe and you know, now with social media and everything, people feel like they're doing research by going on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? And
You're
doing that deep
copying.
dive.
Everybody,
Like that means you're just kind of copying the other people who most of them aren't even doing the real research anyway.
yeah.
Yeah.
Everything most of the things that are happening on Instagram and YouTube right now, unfortunately, it's carbon copies and clones of each other. You know, it's a paint by numbers system. We're gonna put these 40 eyeshadow colors on. We're gonna highlight to the gods here. We gotta make sure we put this powder highlighter here. You know, it's 23 steps when it really only took 8. You know what I mean? And you don't know that it took 8 because the people that you're learning from didn't know that it took 8. And this was the process that they were using. You know, they use these 23 steps. So now, you know, every woman in America or around the world, really, in order to get the look, they feel like they have to do 23 steps, you know, and not knowing that, hey, like actually, if you just take this lipstick, sis, and pat it in on your cheek, you could have a little blush, you know, like you didn't have to have like a whole thing. And if you take a little moisturizer, you know, with this, you can actually create a whole new texture and blend this out. Like these are things that you already have like in your kit. You just aren't thinking about how to use it, but you feel like in order to get the look, you have to paint by number to do that. And like look at how beautiful that becomes, right?
Look at how beautiful that is.
Look at how beautiful and fresh that is, you know. So taking, you know, and I have to tell you, Matthew, two steps, and now she has like just flush, beautiful skin, you know, and you know, I'm just saying, like it just doesn't take a whole lot to get to the end result, and because that is not the way your current beauty influencer does it, then it's not real. Like, oh, AJ doesn't really know what he's talking. He's not doing no beat. You know what I mean? Because that's not the way that my favorite YouTuber does it. But the reality is, or even like your favorite brand, the reality is like I'm your favorite brand's favorite brand.
Ooh.
Because I've seen iterations of my product since I launched it out there in the marketplace. I have friends of mine who work in industry have sent me file folders where it's like, hey, like, just so you know, I'm working on this project for this brand, and like, look at what's in there, and it's pictures of me and what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
but
yes, it's flattering.
It's flattering. It is.
I mean, I want to even say, because I think about whenever Rihanna first came out with, I could not finish the look.
I'm like, let's just finish the look.
even with you know, Rihanna and Fenty Beauty, and as well as, what's the Kardashian girl?
Oh, Kylie and Kim.
Yeah, with all those other like shades that they have. As soon as I was seeing those, I was just like, AJ. Like, immediately, it was just like, because I mean, I remember when you did that then, and it was just like, well, AJ been doing that. Like, I mean, and we love Rihanna for
sure.
Of course we live, and she has the platform, and it's great. But it's like,
it makes sense.
It makes sense.
It made absolute sense.
This isn't like
it wasn't. It was a thing of. How do I say? It's always been interesting, like, because you watch. When you launch, like I said, I will launch with this really deep color. This is the AJ Crimson artist kit. So I launched with this, and to take this around to retailers and say, hey, like, you know, how do I get this in your store? Like, what do we need to do? And I'm like, oh, you know, that customer doesn't really shop here. You know, these black girls don't really shop here. I was like, what? Like, that's so crazy. And then turn around and watch that retailer shop at your website and buy your entire collection, like, no shame. And then I'm like, okay, well, maybe they're checking it out to see, you know, if they want to bring it in. But then 6 months later, I see it in a selection on their website. And it's like, okay, wow. And then to see other versions, and I have developer friends who are like, oh, AJ, like, you know, just heads up, like, I'm working with this new client. They literally just brought in, you know, all of your colors and said, hey, can we just make this? Can we just copy this? And
it's already made. I have it.
Yeah, like, we got, like, it's like, here. So, you know, and the conversation on inclusion and diversity, the conversation of putting Black women first, I definitely feel like I was a part of pushing that forward. It didn't start with me because we had Fashion Fair before me.
But
right?
You're on the front line.
But for this new generation,
yeah,
I was definitely on the front line of it. And I think I was the part of the voice, the larger voice to say, hey, like, you know what? Where is she? Like, why are we talking to her? You know, and then and instead of these other companies kind of coming in to support that movement, they just saw an opportunity maybe to, oh, well, let's watch and see how it happens. And then they developed these extension shades. And then you had these bigger voices who were able to get the message out there in a bigger way, in a faster way. And they had millions of dollars behind it to really market it and put it out there. So my story then gets overshadowed, you know, by that moment. And it becomes a story of like, oh, like, finally, they put this out, they made it for us, you know, and finally, like, she's a call to action, or Chocolate Girls Unite because this brand did it, and it's all brands that don't look like us, but we're always so quick to try to fit ourselves in their box, as opposed to finding the brand who's always been talking to you in the first place and realizing that, hey, like, you know what, I made a box built around you.
Ooh.
You know, so
yes,
you know, so it is what it is.
How's that make you feel? How's that make you feel?
7 years in, I'm still here, and there's like so many brands that are not here. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many brands that it's easy. You can always copy it. We can copy anything. You know, and again, like, you know, a matte liquid lip over here. How much further is it from the matte liquid lip over there? You know, it's not that far apart. It's just more or less about what you're buying into. You know what I mean? Like, I know that the girls who shop with me, they believe in me. They've always loved my work. They understand like what I deliver, and they want to be a part of that moment, and they want to be a part of that community. When you go and buy Louis Vuitton, you may not be able to buy the trunk, but you may be able to afford the keychain. And it's because you want to be a part of that story. When you buy Fenty or Kylie Cosmetics, you're taking a bit of them home with you, and that's really the part of it. And then if the product works at the end of the day, then that's the plus, because now that gets to be like your favorite thing. So for me, I'm very thankful and grateful for the career that I've had, because some of the new artists will not be able to experience all the things that I've been able to do, but they will create new experiences for themselves. The brand that I have created, it's coming from a place of thought. It's coming from a place of, there was a real genuine need, and there was a really something moving forward, like something to drive it forward. That was important. There was a real mission behind it, as opposed to, hey, we're in a marketing boardroom and there's no one in there that looks like us, but we heard that black girls are a thing. Let's start making some colors for black girls, because we're missing out on that dollar. And at that point, it's not really anything that I can do. It's up to the consumer to then be smart enough to realize when you are being spoken at, as opposed to being embraced.
Ooh, yes. AJ
so.
Crimson Beauty embraces.
Embrace.
Yes, you embrace.
I embrace.
Wait, I have a question here.
I know it's so many.
Oh shit!
Oh, look, that's a new background. That's the new background.
Right?
That's the
y'all
new
like
set.
That?
Come on.
Y'all like that?
Why are we not on that set?
Wait a minute! I can't turn it around now. I'm sorry, guys.
You got to tap the screen twice.
No. I got to tap it twice. Oh, okay.
There you go.
Okay. Sorry. That was cute though, right?
That was.
Are you the only black male with your own line?
I think at this level, yes.
Yeah.
I think that. Well, I mean, Sir John has a line that he does for Woolworths in South Africa. So me and Sir John, like I would say, is it. But as far as I know, yeah.
Got you. Tell me, what advice would you have for up and coming creatives? And this can go any direction you want. It can be in this time, like just advice that you may have for other creatives or makeup artists specifically coming up now.
What is my advice for them? I think that you have to. I think I want people to believe. I want them to believe in something. Believe in themselves in a bigger way. Like, I've built my entire life based on a dream. And that dream has changed throughout the years. But if I can see it and I can visualize it and I can think it, then I know that I can make it work and I can make it happen. Someone asked me last night, like, is there anything that, like, what would I do next? And to be honest with you, I've really experienced every job that I've ever, or career move that I've ever wanted to do. So now my only motivation is building my own family and to building AJ Crimson Beauty to the point where it could live on beyond me, to be a legacy brand like a Chanel or Guerlain, for 100 or 200 years. That's my bigger dream now. So I think for everyone, I want you to just dream a bigger dream and then don't be afraid to start. Like, so much of it is just the starting. And I believe that why social media influencers win is because, Sean is in the room. Sean, I was talking about you. The reason why social media influencers win, the ones that are successful, are because they just jumped in and they didn't know what they were doing and they didn't think about it. They just jumped in and just said, hey, this is me and this is what I'm trying to do. And they were able to build it. I mean, look at Supercent, who she has a crayon case. Like, how awesome is it that, people have been, I was following her later in her career as a beauty brand and mogul. But like, from what I know, like, she was waiting tables, like, or she was waiting or busting tables at one point and was hating it. And she was on social media talking about it. And whatever it was about her personality, those people were watching that hustle, that struggle, that grind, and they were able to ride that out with her at every step that she had an idea. I mean, at one point she also was wearing AJ Crimson Beauty, you know, before she, you know, developed her own line. And then she started to learn how to do her own makeup. And then she started to create things. And now to the point where that legion of followers that saw her go from her knuckles to being on her knuckles to now, you know, hey, I got this major brand with all these SKUs and I'm getting ready to give you, you know, this amazing Black Friday. It resulted in $1 million in 90
$1 million.
days.
That was crazy.
So that's awesome, you know. And but like you said, for me, people, you've only known me as AJ Crimson. You didn't know me on my knuckles. You know, you didn't know,
knuckles.
you didn't see all of that. You know, like nobody saw that. So it's a different thing. So I think it's about starting because so many people are just afraid to start. You know what I mean?
Started.
Like, just do it. So that was that was a long answer, but just start.
No, but we needed all of it. I love it. Okay, real quick, we're gonna do it either or because I got 4 minutes left. I don't want to get chopped.
Oh my God, that's it.
I know it happens so fast. We'll do a part.
Can we go
2.
longer?
Like,
okay.
Yeah, we'll do a part 2 another time. Like we have to because there's so much more here. But real quick, editorial or TV?
What are you asking me? Of what I love?
Oh, this is either or. Either or.
Oh, editorial.
Compassion or tough love?
Tough love.
Paris or New York?
Paris.
I knew that was coming. We have those conversations often. Okay. Thanks. Red lip or nude lip?
Red. Crimson rose to be exact. Or ruby.
Yes! Yes! Can we get a discount code for the people? Can we get...
Ooh, we don't do discounts because you don't get discounts on Dior. So why would you get discounts on AJ Crimson?
I told you, AJ don't play about his coin. That's everything to me. Y'all log on to AJ Crimson and buy your full price pieces. Okay.
Because it's worth it.
It's worth it. Amazon Prime or Netflix?
Netflix.
Obama or Oprah?
Obama.
Early morning or late night?
Late night.
Call or text?
Text.
Yes, for a late night text. Okay. Okay, quick.
It might lead to some magic.
I cannot. Word association. Skin.
Mine.
Beauty.
The world.
Yes. Creativity.
Vision.
Latoya.
Who?
Latoya.
My heart.
Yes. Passion.
A must-have.
Legend.
Shit. Ooh.
AJ Crimson.
Pat McGrath. AJ Crimson. Woo! I'm legendary.
Actually, Pat McGrath was my next one. Pat McGrath.
A genius.
Yes. Yeah, I think I'm done. That's it. Okay, we only have 2 minutes. What is a quote to live by? Or was that what you gave me earlier?
I gave you so many, though, to be honest.
Okay, well, then give me one to take us out.
Oh, my goodness. Shit. It's better to look good than to feel good. AJ
Crimson Beauty, ladies and gentlemen. AJ, I love you so much.
I love you so much.
Thank you for coming. I'm going to call you
this
later.
Was so fun.
Yes. It was fun, right? It's always fun. This is my 30th show. Thank you for being here.
And I'm 30th. Woo! Thank you for
30th.
sticking in there. Thanks for hanging in there. We love it. Like you've created a habit. So, so we expect like major things for you. I couldn't even figure out a show because I was thinking like office hours. This is just too amazing. Like I can't think of anything better than this. So I'm just not going to do it. Like I'm gonna just stay away, and I'll just go watch Office Hours. I'll come up with something else another time. I'll wait till you go on hiatus, and then
hiatus. I'm going dark soon. We'll see what happens.
Let me know so I can maybe I can fill in for the week. I can launch a series. Yeah,
maybe you can host Office Hours for a week or so.
Maybe that'd be bomb.
We'll figure it out. Oh my God, I love you, AJ.
I love you too. Talk to you later. Bye bye.
Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. Y'all be having fun up here. Thank y'all for rocking with me. We're going out another week. This was great. I wanted to play y'all something on the way out, but I can't get the music right. But yeah, it's Friday. Oh wait, maybe I can. It's Friday, y'all, and we've been here. Yeah, so we've been here for 6 weeks. This is our 30th show. Thank you guys for supporting Office Hours. Thank you for all of my amazing guests who have come over the last 6 weeks. I have some more amazing guests coming soon. who knows what'll happen? You just start and then things happen. On Monday, I have the Bonfire, which you guys need to. I wish I could pull it up real quick, but it's going to cut me off, so I don't want to do that. But the Bonfire, check out her EP. It's on Apple Music right now, so you can be, up to speed with her because she's going to be on the show on Monday. So I'll clock in with you guys then. I love you so much. Thank you so much for supporting. I'm clocking out. Peace.